Today on the county seat, we will visit with the tourism directors from Garfield, Iron, and Kane County to learn more about the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic on Utah's tourism industry. What are the operators doing to restore the public's confidence in safe travel? And what should you expect as travel opens up here in the state? The county seat is next. The county seat is brought to you this week by Jones and DeMille Engineering, helping to shape your quality of life. Find out more at jonesanddemille.com. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the county seat. I'm your host, Chad Booth. We have taken a look at different elements of the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on people here in the state of Utah. We have covered the health side of it. We have covered the business side of it. But today we're going to look at a particularly important element, and that is the counties across the state that depend on tourism dollars as a main driver of their economies. What kind of impacts has it had, and what kind of measures are we taking to try and help things along? Joining us for the conversation is the tourism directors from Kane County, Camille Johnson-Taylor. We have Fallon Owens from Garfield County. And joining us here at Iron County is Maria Twitchell, who's sitting right across the table, 6 feet away.
6 feet away.
So we can have a good conversation about it. So I just want to start the conversation by just tossing out for discussion exactly how much input or impact has this had since it started for all of you? Any one of you can start the conversation.
So at least here in Iron County, we've certainly have seen an impact. COVID started right as we were starting to end our ski season, but we still had a great ski season ahead of us. You know, it was we were still a month out before closing. So immediately we saw about an 80% drop in our occupancies.
Did you say 80?
80. And drops in, you know, of course, the traveler spending. And so to date, you know, if we look at like a 30-day period, we've estimated at least $11 million lost in traveler spending due to COVID, and we're losing about $400,000 a day.
Wow. Fallon, how have things been over in Garfield County? I know when we first looked at this, it was more future bookings instead of current bookings. Did you have a winter impact that was measurable?
So we don't have a ski season like Iron County does. So when a lot of our businesses started opening in March, they just didn't have a cash flow to start from. So it's been pretty devastating to them. But like Maria, we've taken a lot of our traveler spending and our occupancy, and we're about $14 million in lost revenue, which is about $500,000 a day. So we're that's a lot of money. And the transient room tax is about $143,000 that we've lost, but sales tax, which is a huge part of our entire budget in Garfield County, is about $858,000. So that, I mean, we really don't have another revenue source, honestly. This is kind of it, so that's pretty impactful.
So Camille, Kane County's kind of in between the two. So, you know, you have kind of a winter traffic, or have traditionally had some. How's the impact feeling there?
Yeah, it's interesting because early on, of course, we dropped like Maria. And even though now that we're starting to recover, we normally climb at a much greater rate at this time of year. So we're losing more per day than we were even initially. And I've calculated that we've lost at least $20 million just from loss of overnight guests in Kane County. And that's not even counting the guests that come through and they go on a tour, or they eat out, or they shop, or they gas up. So it's probably much more significant than that. and the average daily loss over a 56-day period is about $350,000 a day. So we've been taking it hard down here.
When you look at that, how broad is the impact? I'm going to start with Maria. How broad is the impact? Obviously, Bryan Head has suffered, but is that spillover taking place in Cedar City as well? There's the restaurants, just some of the dine-in things, occupancy from people who just are regularly traveling the I-15 corridor. Has that been an impact for you?
Absolutely. So it went straight from Bryan Head directly into what was happening in Cedar City. We have I-15 that runs right through here. And so there's a lot of impact from, people traveling on the interstate as well as those who are starting to, who are still skiing. And so we started to see immediately, the drop off in the restaurants, the drop off in the occupancies at the hotels. When states close, and people are not really allowed to travel, or they're not allowed to do, recreational travel. It's mostly they're only allowed to go out for, essential reasons. You certainly see a loss in the traffic. So, it was almost immediate within the first days of COVID and the starts of the closures and things like that. We our just about every service in our community was somehow impacted, from, especially with the dining and the lodging, but also the gas stations and, even some of the grocery stores. Now, the grocery stores certainly had people out there who were buying their essential items that they needed in their households, but they certainly didn't have the traveling public.
So this is an interesting question, and Fallon, this kind of points at your county. On our other program, At Your Leisure, we were at the point where the governor had just lifted some of the restrictions, and I believe actually we mentioned this in a show that was in Camille's County, in Kane County, and we had viewer feedback from the Wasatch Front saying, how dare you tell people to go shop in grocery stores in these local communities when they're going out to do isolating recreation like an ATV ride and take groceries away from the locals. But that doesn't seem to be what the local grocery stores are asking for.
So in our county, it was unique because we did have one grocery store that stayed open only to Garfield County residents, and they were pretty strict about it. The other larger grocery store in our county, they were open to anybody that wanted to come in and shop, but that was tricky because once people felt like they were okay to somewhat travel, and a lot of people wanted to find these wide open spaces, and they got down here and they weren't able to get a lot of food or necessities that they needed to stay here. So that was kind of a tricky situation in our county.
I know when we were taping our show over in Kane County on the ATVs being out on the grand staircase and the change in the travel management plan, I picked up lunch for our crew from Glazer's Market. And the people at Glazer's Market, I talked to the owner while I was there. I've known him for years, and he said he was very grateful for any help he could get to bring traffic in, and he was appreciative of what we were talking about.
Yeah, they stayed open all through it. The grocery stores have been chanced down here in Kane County. At times they've had to limit certain things, like you could only get one pack of lunch meat, things like that. So that's restrictive, but they've definitely appreciated the business, and they've been very accommodating to locals and the few travelers that have been coming through.
So I guess we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I want to try and turn our focus towards what it is that travelers, as the restrictions are lifting a little bit, do. What can local travelers do to help these counties out? And that's our conversation when we return here on the County Seat. Welcome back to the County Seat. We are talking about tourism and the impact that the pandemic has had in really across the whole state, and particularly though the area that is nationally known as, the Mighty Five and the monuments down here, and this travel that has been canceling out and having an impact. So we've kind of got an idea of what's happened to tourism in the area. How are you guys coping with it? Camille, I understand that you guys have kind of collaborated and come up with some guidelines.
Yeah, we just, when I was reading through the governor's plan, it said that the COVID crisis is less of a virus crisis or an economic crisis. It's a crisis of public confidence. And we really have to do things to ensure the public's confidence to start traveling again. And so we came up with this above and beyond promise of things that we're going to do as a destination to ensure health and safety, and then things that we're still going to ask them to do, which are the typical things like washing your hands regularly, coughing and sneezing into your elbow, don't travel when you're sick. But the other thing that I wish I'd put on there is spend a lot of money when you come. We need a lot of help. So open up those purse strings and spend money. But the things we're doing as a destination, of course, we're going to follow the governor's guidelines. We've actually put hand washing stations throughout town. We've got hand sanitizer towers coming. We've ordered masks for all of our frontline staff. What else? We've got some things on here. Of course, we're going to facilitate the social distancing, and a lot of the businesses are already on that, putting decals on their floors or markers so that people know how far to stand back. So we're going to do everything we can as a destination, and we hope that visitors will come and do their part.
As I've been traveling across southern Utah, I've noticed that in all three of your counties, the retail population has been really quick at picking this up. I mean, I see 6-foot markers practically every place I go, and I have just seen the tourism industry and related industry just pick up substantially to be geared up for this. How does this apply to Iron County, Maria?
So because we collaborate so much between the three amigos here of the counties that we have, Camille was gracious to share her program with us, and we've copied several things from that program. And then we've also partnered with our city, with Cedar City, and so we're doing something called Cedar City Together. It has a lot of the same kind of principles that the Above and Beyond has, that Camille put together. But one of the things that we're doing is that we're purchasing masks, of course. So this is kind of an example of one of our masks, as well as floor decals, the social distancing decals.
And so you're making these from a tourism office available to the local retailers to help them along?
To help them along, we're actually going to gift them to them. So all of our hotels, all of our mom and pop restaurants, as well as our what we call mom and pop retail, they will be given a gift of some decals for their floors, some masks, some other kinds of, just information, some cards that will be out, like table tents that will discuss what we're doing as a destination, but also what we hope that they would do as if they're coming here to visit.
So all three of you operate under the same regional health department, and Dr. Blodgett seems to have been one of the more cautioned, reserved, or more practical in his approach to all this as the pandemic broken out. Fallon, are you happy that he's at the helm for your health department from a tourism perspective?
You know what? I think the best part about the whole thing is that he's been really good to kind of let the county level in on the conversation. And I mean, even though we're all very similar in what we have in the area, we have different things too. So he's been really good to go with kind of county information and letting the counties kind of operate as they see fit. I mean, for instance, we have slot canyons in our area, and those weren't really good places to have a bunch of people climbing over the top of each other. So instead of closing everything, he helped us close things that were more of an issue than everything.
Yeah, if I can speak to that, Chad. Sorry, I really appreciated Dr. Blodgett's sensibility through all this. Like, I love that he reminds us the whole idea of flattening the curve, which means you're still going to have cases, but it was to spread them out over a period of time. So as we're opening things up, I love that he's reminded us you will have more cases, and that's okay. That's not a sign of failure. That was the whole idea, was to spread out those cases.
Well, that actually is a very good point. And the flexibility of it. Do any of you find that this confidence issue is a bigger issue than it meets on the surface? That there are lots of safe places for people to come into your counties, and they're just afraid to do so, and there's almost like at least on the Wasatch Front, there's a public shaming for people that want to go self-isolate in rural Utah.
So I think because we have so many public land spaces in our area, we've seen an increase in people visiting those places, and more people seem to be camping and recreating that way than staying in our hotels. So we still have a lot of work to do there, but even with those people coming into our county, I think it's a good time to plug the fact that if you are visiting and you are using our resources, leave a little money as you come through. Don't pack all of your groceries. Don't so that you never eat out. Like, support our local restaurants.
This is kind of a message our At Your Leisure program has been distributing as best we can to tell people when you go out and you're in public, leave the camper, stay in a hotel, help these gateway communities out that are having such an impact on these gateway communities that support outdoor recreation. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'd like to talk about some of the help that's available and what your advice is to people who want to travel. We'll be right back with the County Seat. Welcome back to the County Seat, having a conversation about the impacts of the COVID pandemic on tourism. We're covering in focus the area of southern Utah that really relies a lot on tourism to make up their economies. So we've gone from the red stage, and the governor's moved to the orange stage, or the caution stage, and this slow reopening that is happening. What kind of opportunities are there for people to recreate, get off the Wasatch Front, get out of the urban areas, and get out and visit? What's happening? What are you guys doing?
I'll start, I guess, because the biggest news in our area is that Bryce Canyon has opened. It's a soft opening, so there are some services that aren't open, like the visitor center, things like that. But it is open, and typically we have about 60-65% international visitation, which is obviously not happening. So it's a great time for people that feel safe about traveling to come and see something they typically wouldn't see, with a lot less people.
So when we hear about soft openings, but does that mean that people are able to get all the services they need to have a nice, comfortable trip? Can they get lodging? They can get meals, they can get groceries, they can participate in recreational opportunities. Are all those things opening up in your counties?
Yeah, I think everything's opening up. I know Zion opens up May 13th for day use, and then they'll progress from there. I think it's the 21st that they open up for overnight. And then for us, North Rim is hugely impactful as well, and that's supposed to tentatively open up June 1st. But you can do everything you would normally do. Lodging is open, dining is open. And something we have in Kane County, we have 70 adventure maps that are off the beaten path. So if you're not wanting to go to the parks yet, or you want to do something in addition to, we make it really easy for folks to see those hidden gems and avoid the crowds.
So Maria.
So in our area, the Dixie National Forest will be opening up around the Memorial Day weekend. So that's the camping and some of the trails. A lot of it's just been underneath snow this whole time, and so we're just waiting for the snow to melt. But yes, you can certainly recreate in that area. We're anticipating that Cedar Breaks National Monument will be opening up around the same time. Again, we're just waiting for the snow to melt. But our public lands in the valleys are open, so you can certainly go hiking, mountain biking, OHVing in the valleys, and there's some great stuff out there right now.
So the word is kind of out there, go camping. I mean, even the governor and the lieutenant governor said, get out, go camping, take your family, get out into Utah. But how can people specifically help the tourism economy in southern Utah when they go out to visit? If they do that in the next month or two, what can they do?
Well, again, spend their money. So if they could spend their money buying groceries in our area, or even buying hotels, maybe not go camping, maybe buy an actual hotel room.
And then go out and play during the day.
Go out and play during the day. Those are certainly things that are going to help, and buy dinner and in one of our local restaurants.
So Camille, are your tour operators up and opening? The adventure people, the people that rent machines, maybe somebody could leave their off-highway vehicles or come take a tour. Are they up and operating in Kane County?
They're up and operating, and they are going to take you to the most amazing places. Our local guides and outfitters are so knowledgeable. They make it so much fun. I highly recommend using a local guide and outfitter. And I would say even beyond the camping, there are so many lodging options that are independent units. Zion Mountain Ranch has independent cabins, Zion Ponderosa, luxury homes, cabins. We have almost 500 vacation rentals in Kane County. But I would say our hotels are also going above and beyond to keep everything sanitary at their properties. So you don't need to go camping to stay safe. That is an option, as well as our lodging units.
So Fallon, last word to you.
I agree with everything they've said. We have our outfitters and guides open as well, and all of our people have really tried so hard to accommodate travelers and make sure that people feel safe and welcome. So they, like Camille said, are definitely going above and beyond and trying to keep people safe as much as they can.
Well, my last word of advice for anybody that's watching this program, get out of the Wasatch Front, get out into rural Utah, help those local communities, because in the good times, they bend over backwards to make sure that you have a good experience and they could use your help right now. Just remember, folks, that local government is where your life happens. Be engaged, be involved. Thank you all for joining us, for contributing to this show, and we'll see you next week on the County Seat. Thank you for watching the County Seat. Be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications to keep up to date on the program and happenings around Utah.